So, Megyn, I want to pick your legal mind here and also your media public relations expertise. I got to be honest, I predicted incorrectly. I thought that smart Democrats would look at the case of Abrego Garcia and say, this one is not exactly the one to go all in on. You know, the guy with the MS-13 knuckle tattoos, allegedly, the wife beater, and let's just say not exactly a Boy Scout record. Democrats have now, too, we know of, have flown to this foreign country, El Salvador, to try to petition for the release of a foreign citizen. I want everyone to understand that they are advocating for a foreigner to come back to America. There's actually 5 or 6 Democrats that have now visited. I only was aware of 2, but I guess it's 5 or 6, my team tells me. Megyn, what's going on here?
You know, if they were really looking for a poster boy to support, the one that would work politically, why haven't we heard more about the gay hairdresser, right? We heard so much about, like, look, if there's a gay hairdresser just cutting hair and minding his own business, and they shipped him off to this prison in El Salvador. Weird how they haven't gone back to him. Weird how they decided to cash in all their chips on an MS-13 gang member. Something tells me something's off with the gay hairdresser story, too, because this appears to be the best they could find. Let me just make something clear. If the Trump administration had sent this guy to Colombia, to North Korea, there would be 0 problems. He already had a notice of removal. He already had due process, that to which he's entitled before we deport him. It happened in 2019. He went before an immigration court, and then he went before an appellate immigration court. And they both said, you're out of here. We've seen enough. They discussed the gang ties because they were trying to figure out whether he should be held on bond while they tried to figure out what to do with him. And they said, no, he's a MS-13 gang member. We're gonna hold him. He should not be roaming while we try to determine this. But they decided, you need to go home, sir. Get out. He said, oh, no, not home. Not home. It's dangerous for me there because this other gang wants to kill me. So he said, okay, you don't have to go back to El Salvador, but you do need to get out. And at that point, it was up to him to either get out or take his chances that he would be plucked out at any moment by any president's ICE team and sent out, including back to El Salvador if just one thing happened. If the gang that was out to get him, which was a different gang other than MS-13, if that threat were eliminated. And that threat has been eliminated under this new president there, Bukele. All these gangs have been eliminated. So, okay, at worst, what the Trump administration did here, at worst, in the Democrats' argument, was he didn't have a judge say, okay, that gang is no longer around. Gavel clicked, get out. That's literally all this guy would be entitled to. That's it. But it's so much worse than that. All right. So, yes, and I agree. This is a terrible, terrible political thing for the Democrats. They're so dumb. Wife abuser and MS-13 gang member. They never tell you he was caught with 2 other MS-13 gang members. I mean, I'm not like a gang expert, but all the gang experts I read about online tell you MS-13, it doesn't hang around with the Charlie Kirks of the world. If you wanted to go up on the street corner, Charlie, and just like shoot the, no, it would be a no. You'd have to prove it. He was just wearing a Chicago Bulls sweatshirt. That's it. Like, that was just totally out of context. Yeah, he was wearing MS-13 gang colors, as they all do. They wear those same red and black colors. Chicago Bulls sweatshirt in this context is very common, and had the tats, and was with 2 MS-13 members, and had testimony by a confidential informant saying he was MS-13 and this is the rank he held and this is the nickname, all of which is irrelevant. We don't care. We don't have to prove he's a gang member at all. It's totally irrelevant. It's only relevant to the public fight over whether the Democrats should be defending this guy. But he's gone. He's already been adjudicated removable. The only problem is we didn't remove him. And then when we did, we technically weren't supposed to remove him to El Salvador without saying that threatening gang, which, by the way, sounded like total bullshit anyway, but let's just pretend it was real, had gone away. So that's him. Here's the bigger problem. We had 10 million illegals in this country, according to CPB, back in 2020. And they always underestimate it a little. But according to CPB, we had over 8 million come in under Trump. Under Biden, not under Trump, under Biden, the 4 years of Biden. So now we're at some 18 million, rounded up to 20, just so it's an easy number. 20 million illegals in this country. We just saw the latest numbers on the Harry Anton data drop, analyzing all the polls. 56% of Americans, this is across parties, want all illegals gone. All. Not some, not just the most dangerous, all. We've got about 500,000 who committed additional crimes when they were here. So Tom Homan has said, we're starting with the worst first. Those 500,000 are our number one priority. Everyone can agree on those. And yet, what have we seen from day one? Obstruction, lawfare, PR wars by these Dems trying to stop even just the 500,000. And by the way, he's only on like 22 to 25,000, Trump is. He's only gotten about 22,000 of them out so far, Tom Homan, and he's doing his level best. But he's being fought by sanctuary city mayors, by the ACLU, by woke leftist court judges. He doesn't have enough money. He's begging for more money so that we can house them because he's running out of jail space to put the ones he has caught. So he's been hampered and fighting with his hand tied behind his back from the start. But they're going truly for worst of the worst. We're doing criminal gang members from MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. And the ACLU is pretending like Joe Biden's daughter, Ashley, just got deported on each one of these. So it's a massive war that Trump has taken on here. And, you know, it goes without saying, but every single one of these guys came into this country, and many committed additional crimes without any of us getting due process. Laken Riley had no due process. Jocelyn Nungaro, 12-year-old girl killed at the border in Texas by Tren de Aragua members. No due process for her. No one even asked a single question about whether she could go on living. But these guys get all the due process in the world, and each one gets his own ACLU, district court fight, appeals court fight, Supreme Court fight, and now culminating in overnight on Friday, the Supreme Court halts all deportations under the Alien Enemies Act until further notice. Just none. None.
And so yeah, let's be clear about that. So the Supreme Court has paused the use of the Alien Enemies Act. Is that correct? And so
yes, to deport people.
But is that going to be heard in greater length and decided upon, hopefully, this summer session?
Yes. Yes, that will be decided. That's not yet been finally adjudicated on the merits, but it's just yet another hampering of what Trump's trying to do. And they appealed it from the lower court, the Circuit Court of Appeals, before it had even been fully briefed, before they even had a ruling from that court. They brought it up to the Supreme Court saying, we think that he's going to deport more. We need you to weigh in immediately. And without briefing, without anything, the Supreme Court's like, you're right. Okay, hold everything, which was not the right thing to do. I mean, somebody tweeted this out the other day, and I totally agree. If you are a Trump-appointed justice or even just a so-called conservative justice on the high court, and you find yourself on the wrong side of Alito and Thomas, you've decided the case wrong. You're doing it wrong. Those two are the most conservative stalwarts. The Trump justices so far haven't been that dependable. I got to be honest. These are not our best. You got to go back further and get the most conservative. And by the way, they're not getting any younger, Alito and Thomas, so it's somewhat disturbing. In any event, so he lost that fight for now. The problem is he can use other methods, but they all clearly require a level of notice and opportunity to claim asylum, like immediate removal, expedited removal, which is what, you know, when they say, oh, Biden deported 450,000 illegals. Biden really can't. No, that's not what he was doing. He was turning them away at the border. That's the very limited border enforcement he did. He let in over 8 million. OK, that's a minimum. He let in. But some 500,000 got turned away at the border because they must have been like breathing fire to get turned around under Biden. In any event, you can do that with expedited removal, and you really don't have to provide any due process unless they're claiming asylum. You don't have to give them any due process. Well, Trump enlarged expedited removal to the whole U.S., saying I can remove you from anywhere under this procedure. But if they claim asylum, they get a notice, they get a hearing, they get the chance to plead. Oh, poor me, poor me. So he switched to Alien Enemies Act to try to expedite the process to get these people out of here. The clock is ticking. You know, he's thinking I have 100 days, maybe 2 years at the outset. And the House is going to come in to enact my agenda. In this department, if we're really lucky, he has 4 years. But we have about 11,000 removed per month. We are not going to get rid of even 1 million at this rate. Never mind 18 million, despite the fact that the majority of Americans want it. So Trump is trying to find ways to put the pedal to the metal, use the Alien Enemies Act. Then they can't claim asylum. Very minimal due process, kind of, if any. And at every turn, the ACLU, which has declared itself co-president, is shutting it down thanks to the help of these leftist judges.
Declared themselves co-president is a phenomenal way to put it. And was it even in our founder's intent, in your belief, your legal opinion, that a district court judge can issue a nationwide injunction? Shouldn't this be focused where, okay, if you want to do an injunction, have it pertain to your district or even your circuit? Not what happens in Maryland needs to pertain all the way from Guam to Seattle to Dallas, where they can enjoin the whole nation. All it takes is one Trump-hating judge to slow down what the people voted for. That is not, quote unquote, democracy, Megyn.
My view on that is, look, it's worked on our side, too. That's how we shut down Title IX, Joe Biden's changes to Title IX under his presidency, and I was all for it. Totally all for it. But what needs to happen now, as the high court, the Supreme Court, can see that this is clearly being used as a tool to stop the entire political agenda, the democratically voted for agenda, is they need to act quickly and more judiciously on all the cases coming up before them, not just the ones that the ACLU say are emergencies because Trenda Aragua and MS-13 members are about to be shipped off to El Salvador. That'll get him out of bed. How about some of the Trump requests to enlarge his powers or to recognize his valid powers under, for example, the Alien Enemies Act, or to act more swiftly? Those they slow roll on. Those they want full briefing on. Those they really want to kick around for a while. So what the Supreme Court needs to do, I think, is issue a powerful order very soon on the merits, especially on Alien Enemies Act. We already have an opinion on the books. It was passed in 1798. On the books in the late 1940s is a Supreme Court opinion saying this statute is barely reviewable. Like, this is clear that the founders didn't want judges to second guess a president saying we're in a war and these people have invaded us or these people have invaded us or conducted an incursion and they need to be thrown out. They did not think, because it's called a political question, which judges cannot decide under our Constitution, they did not think judges should be having the final say on those. So they created very limited ways to review things done under that act. And the sooner the Supreme Court gives a serious brushback to lower courts on the merits of that thing, the better off Trump will be.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.